Do you want to know if Antlers will hook you? And you also want to know how to win this sweet shirt? Keep watching to find out. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Our Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Antlers, which is coming to theaters on October 29th, 2021. So just in time for spooky season. And that makes sense because this is a pretty spooky movie. It's a horror film that stars Keri Russell, Jesse Plemons, Jeremy T. Thomas, and the big name draw for this is it's produced by Guillermo del Toro. And you can tell that Guillermo del Toro had a hand in this. The creature looks like a Guillermo del Toro film type creature, and the film is just really well done. I'm ready to talk about it. I've got my Antlers shirt on that I got, and also I have a separate Antlers shirt. It's a size medium. I'm going to tell you how to win this at the end of this video. So keep watching and hear my thoughts, and maybe you can win this shirt as well. So I'm going to talk to you about the film, talk to you about things I liked, things I didn't like, and then talk about the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in that. So if you don't want to know what happens in the film, you don't want to know anything about it, you want to go in surprise, stop watching now, check out the review on watcherpass.com, or just go watch it in theaters and then come back and listen to my thoughts after. But if you want to know what happens in the film, you want to know who dies, you want to know what this monster is, then let's keep talking. So in Antlers, you have Keri Russell, who plays Julia. She's a teacher in this small Oregon town. And this Oregon town is like way out in the Oregon wilderness. They really use the setting to great effect. It's a small, pretty isolated town. It's run down. It feels like it's dying. Like it feels like a small town that maybe people are, it's shrinking. And also the nice thing about it is it's out in the wilderness. So at night, it gets very dark, which all of these aspects really come into this film. Julia is a teacher, and one of her students, Lucas, is this kid that he seems a little withdrawn. He doesn't speak up much in class. He looks like maybe he's a little nervous all the time. He draws these elaborate but horrific drawings. They're really well done, but they're terrible. They look like something that a disturbed kid would draw. And so as Julia becomes more intrigued with Lucas and his story, we find out some more about his family, and that's kind of where this creature feature goes. Things I liked about this film. The first is the lighting. This film has some fantastic lighting. It's got this really great sense of light and dark, especially when you have characters explore these dark areas. There's a lot of transitions from like a lighter room into a darker room. And so you'll have them open the door, and it's almost like out of a video game. You'll have this just black interior that you can't see, and you're kind of holding your breath as they're approaching, and then you're holding, you can kind of gasp when they kind of walk through the precipice and go into the room and disappear. And it's a really nice touch, and it really keeps the tension high. But it's not just the light and dark. There's also a really great use of light from the cars and the police headlights. The police sirens themselves are really a nice touch. They're like blue and red alternating light. It kind of lets you get glimpses of what's happening, but it also really gives it a striking style when you see characters like with their face becomes blue, their face becomes red. And also the film uses light and fog really well. So you'll have one of my favorite scenes is you've got a police car in this foggy night, and you just kind of see the red and blue lights kind of illuminate the entire area. It's a really striking scene, and it really kind of helps to show just kind of how dark and isolated this place is. And they also use flares a couple times, which I thought was really interesting as well, because then you have this like bright red light that kind of pushes back the darkness, and it's usually in a place where you're kind of nervous about what's just beyond the darkness, and so it's a really great touch to also keep you on edge. It also feels a little bit like Metro 2033, because you've got characters exploring dark places with flares, trying to kind of see what's just outside the reach, or also maybe like Alan Wake. Alan Wake has a really good use of flares as well. So all of that just really translates into a film that keeps the tension high and keeps you kind of guessing what's happening. The second thing I loved is the sound. I mean, it wouldn't be much of a creature feature without really good sound. And Antlers has a really great use of it. You get otherworldly sounds kind of on the periphery. You get sounds behind you. You get skittering from, something that you can't really see. Again, it matches up well with the lighting, because oftentimes you won't be able to see what's happening, but you'll hear things out in the distance or out in the periphery that keep you on edge. And again, they use both of these to great effect. And one thing I don't want to have as a separate topic, but overall, what Antlers really does well is it's very understated. It doesn't try to like be in your face with anything. It uses what it has, but it's not too loud, it's not too bright, it's not too anything. It really kind of keeps a mellow, dark tone that keeps the tension high, because you don't get comfortable with anything, because you're always wondering, like, why is it so quiet? What's that sound over there? It doesn't try to do too much, and because of that, it kind of keeps this really tense feeling throughout. The third thing I really loved are the characters, and mostly Lucas. Lucas is the kid. He's played by Jeremy T. Thomas, and I really liked I liked all the characters. They were all very well done, but Lucas especially he just does such a good job. I love it when a child actor can act so naturally, he's not like a natural character. Like, he doesn't act like a child, he acts like a kid that is dealing with some emotional issues, and he's kind of dealing with more than he should be at his age, and he does it so well. Like, he has these he kind of has this mix of strong because of the situation he's in, and then also scared because of the situation he's in, and also he's not overly emotional. He's not like yelling and screaming. He kind of stays very quiet and reserved. He just portrays this mix of emotions so well, and it really kind of helps keep the tension high. Like, everything about this film keeps the tension high, because you eventually learn, but you don't know what's going on in his head. Don't know if he's going to open up to someone, and he's a little unpredictable, especially at the start, when you're kind of going through the motions of his strange situation. He really does a good job of keeping you wondering and keeping you engaged. The fourth thing I really loved about this movie is the music. Just like everything else in this film, the music is very understated. There's a lot of like singular instruments in it. You'll get like there'll be other instruments, but there'll be kind of a main instrument playing. Like, there's some scenes with like a piano that plays. It builds the mood, but also feels very isolating, because you'll have a single instrument kind of playing through. There's a lot of really great scenes with a cello. I think it's a cello. It's some sort of string instrument. I think it's a cello that really kind of builds the tension and gives you this sense of isolation that Antlers just does really well. Like, because of the town, because of the setting, because of the situation that these characters find themselves in, you have an isolated feeling, and the music just does an extra. It kind of sets that tone perfectly as well. I really loved. There's kind of this consistent melody that plays throughout, and I really loved it. I'm gonna try to hum it, but I'm gonna do a terrible job. It's like, I can't do it justice, but it is something that really it stands out, but it doesn't. Like, it's noticeable, but it doesn't kind of overpower anything, and it really does help to set the overall mood in this film. And the last thing I really liked is the gore. And there's not a lot of gore. Like everything else, it's understated. Like, you don't have just blood and guts everywhere, but there are some really good scenes with some of the after effects of this creature that look natural and terrifying, it doesn't kind of go over the top, but there are some pretty extreme things that this creature does, and the film makes it so that you don't ever get kind of pushed out of the film. It looks like something that it looks like something that is natural for this crazy, terrible situation. Things I didn't like. I mean, I liked the film. I actually really liked it. I guess the pace could be something that could be a turnoff. It was a slower film. I did look at my watch a couple times just to see how far into the movie we were, but I really did enjoy it. I didn't get bored. I was kind of trying to see how far along in the film we were, so I could kind of pay attention to when the ending happened. But I could see someone maybe not liking the pace of the film, because it is slower. It has a slow, kind of mysterious structure, and it doesn't reveal too much early on. So I could see someone just getting a little bored with it, but I really liked it. I didn't mind it at all. Additionally, the film also deals with abuse, which it relates to the characters. I don't know if it was done very well. I don't really have a background in that area, so maybe someone that has more of a background will have a better sense of it. I thought it was an important part of the film. I don't know if I loved how it was portrayed, and also how it was mixed in with the two characters. Their two stories were kind of mixed together to be kind of a story of abuse, but I don't know if it gelled up perfectly. But again, minor things, minor points. I still really like this film a lot. Going to the ending. So in the film, you have Julie as a teacher, and her student is Lucas, and Julie takes an interest in Lucas and his situation. She eventually looks in his desk and sees these horrific but really, really cool drawings. Like, they're really well done drawings. They're pen and red pen, and they're really expressive and terrifying, and just they're really striking when you find them. But Julia sees these and is also rightfully terrified of them because they are terrible drawings. So she goes to the principal and says, look, like this is a telltale cry for help. And the principal dismisses it kind of. She's like, well, I will go and talk to Frank when I can, essentially saying there's nothing they can do about it because Lucas is in school, and so he's at least getting some care here, but she will try to talk to Frank. Fast forward, she goes to Frank's house. Frank is Lucas's father. And so the family is Lucas is the son who's in school, and then Frank is his father, and Lucas has a younger brother, Aiden, who is at home with his father. That's all we know. And so the principal, Ellen, goes to Frank's house. And when she gets there, she goes by herself and then notices the door is unlocked and like opens the door, which bad decision in general, and also a bad decision in this situation because the house is a disaster and smells like death. But she goes in and tries to figures, I guess I'll explore. And so as she's walking through, she finds this locked door where Lucas kind of keeps Frank and Aiden because they're dangerous. And so he leaves them in this room. He feeds them occasionally, but afterwards he like locks the door and puts up a ward to prevent them from getting out. Principal Ellen just says, you know what, I guess I'm going to explore this. She hears something on the other side. She's concerned. She opens it. She pulls out this like lock, pulls out this ward, opens the door, goes in, and sees Aiden, who is acting as bait. He's this cute little kid that looks almost like a zombie. Like he's got like black streaks on him, but he looks enough like a kid that he can draw you in. And so she goes to him, and behind her is Frank. And Frank looks like Gollum if Gollum was big and also had like flames in his chest. So Frank is like skinny. He's like losing his hair. He looks haggard. And he also has this like fire in his chest that burns through. Like you can see there's like light in his body, like some sort of burning in him. And Frank goes and attacks Ellen and devours her. Done. And also when this happens, after he devours her, like you can see like some antlers or something like coming out of him, but that's all you see. You don't see much else after that. So we cut to Lucas, who's walking home after school, and he's approached by Cody, who's this redheaded bully. And Cody and Lucas have this animosity towards each other. And so Cody wants to beat up Lucas, but you hear something as Cody's about to like attack him, and this creature pounces on Cody, and Lucas just runs. He kind of looks back to see, and then he keeps running. So eventually, Julia goes to look for Principal Ellen because she mentioned, that Ellen was going to go check on Frank, and she finds the car there. So she calls in the police, and the police come and they find both Principal Ellen, who is, devoured essentially, and then a husk. Like Frank is there. They can tell it's Frank, but not all of him is there. It's like he's been exploded out. Like his body has been ripped out, and then also his insides are charred. And so this is a little odd, it's not something that you would normally expect to see in this situation. And so the cops are perplexed, essentially. And one of the cops working on this it seems like he's kind of consulting. It's like an ex-sheriff who also happens to be Native American. And so later, Julia and Paul, who's her brother, Paul is the sheriff in this town, they go to talk to him, and he tells them the story of this creature. And he has a piece of an antler that they found earlier, and also he's seen the destruction that this creature has done. And so he tells them about this creature called a Wendigo. The legend of the Wendigo in this film, I don't remember if this matches up with kind of the general legend of the Wendigo, but at least in this film, there was a hunter who I guess was caught out in winter, and he got so hungry that he resorted to cannibalism, and that caused him to become this kind of vengeful spirit that has this need to eat, this like burning desire to eat. But as it eats, it actually the husk or the creature, the body becomes weaker. So eventually, as it eats more, it becomes weaker and dies, and then the Wendigo spirit has to go into some other creature, and then or some other human, I guess, or maybe it could be other creatures, but at least something to keep feeding. And it's kind of forever hungry. Its curse is to like constantly need to eat, but then never be able to be satiated and always be in pain. Pretty terrible existence, but that's what it is. After they find this out and a few other things happen, we have Lucas and Julia at Paul's house. So Julia lives with Paul. She used to live there. She ran away. She escaped when she was younger because of abuse in the house, but she moved back after her father died. So Julia is living with Paul, her brother. They take Julia and Paul take in Lucas after his father dies, and so they're all at the house. Paul is talking to the mayor about this growing situation where everyone's dying. I think at this point they had, I think 3 bodies. They had Principal Ellen, Frank, the redheaded bully, and then they also had another body from earlier in the movie. So Paul is talking to the mayor about the situation. Paul sends his partner Dan to go, meet up with him so they can talk after the mayor and also to check on the house. So Dan gets there and he's kind of looking around the house, and you hear this like call, this like otherworldly strange call, which again, really good sound. And Dan is looking and he sees in the shed some movement. So he goes to the shed, and in there he sees Aiden, who's kind of like sitting there looking sad. He looks kind of like a zombie. So if I was Dan, I wouldn't go in, but Dan goes in because I guess maybe he wants to help him, and also maybe he's gullible. And after he goes in, he gets attacked by the Wendigo. Done. Paul gets back after talking to the mayor and realizing, hearing that Dan is in trouble, because Dan calls him after, when he's seen Aiden, and then he hears this like struggle. And so Paul drives back and does the exact same thing. Like he gets there, sees Dan's body, goes in the shed, sees Aiden, and is attacked from behind just like Dan. It's silly in how similar they were attacked. But Paul is wearing a bulletproof vest, so he actually doesn't die. He just gets horribly hurt from this. Inside the house, Julia is hearing these things. I don't think she actually sees the Wendigo. Maybe she does. I don't remember. But she's at least hearing it, and it's agitating her, and it's agitating Lucas as well. And so she's trying to keep him calm. But Lucas kind of explains to her that she says essentially like, you know that your dad died. And he's like, no, my old dad died. This is my new dad, and he's going to take Aiden and me to the mine. Like I have to go to the mine to help him. And essentially like, so showing that Lucas kind of knows the legend and knows what's going to happen. And also that he still thinks that the Wendigo will take care of him. And so Julia tries to keep him there, but Lucas runs off. And then Julia goes to check on Paul. So Julia checks on Paul, and she sees that he's alive. She bandages him up, and then he's like, I need an ambulance. So she drives to the mine, because that's where Lucas said that the dad was. So she drives to the mine with Paul and then calls in like, we need an ambulance, which I thought was a very bad decision. Like she's basically giving the Wendigo like an all-you-can-eat buffet, because she's like, here's my injured brother who can't do anything, and also I'm going to call in like an ambulance so more people will come. I thought that could have been a bad scene. It ended up working out, but I thought she probably should have just called the ambulance at her brother's house and then gone by herself, because her brother didn't do anything. He just stayed in the car. Anyways, she gets there, goes inside the mine, sees Lucas and Aiden, and they're kind of doing their like trap thing. The kids are always there to draw the adults in, and so, but Lucas, at least, I don't think he's trying to trap. Aiden seems to always be trapping. Lucas at least kind of motions over to the Wendigo, and she turns the light on, and then you finally see the Wendigo in all its glory. And this is a good, like the creature looks CG, but it's a good reveal. Like it doesn't look that CG, and it looks creepy. Like the film does a good job of not showing the creature early, and then when you finally see the creature, it's in this dark room. You don't get a really great look at it, so it doesn't suspend your disbelief like some films do, where you see the creature and it's a letdown. This creature looks gross, looks scary. It has this like flap of flesh hanging off of it. It's a good evil looking creature. So despite the Wendigo killing everything left and right, Julia is able to kind of hold her own. She uses a flare, which is another really great scene, because you get that red light everywhere, and the Wendigo is kind of doesn't like the light. It kind of recoils from it. And then Julia fights it and eventually stabs it with this like pole that she uses as a spear. But the Wendigo still seems to be moving. But then Lucas with a knife comes and stabs the Wendigo as well, and that causes the Wendigo to kind of slump over. And then Julia in this very prescient hunting scene. Although I think Lucas maybe should have done this because he's the better hunter, but she cuts open the Wendigo and pulls out its like searing heart. And then, the Wendigo is dead, essentially. And everything's happy. Everything wins, right? Everything's good. It's all happy. They go off and live a happy life. Nope. This is a horror movie. And so you look over and you see Aiden, and Aiden has the Wendigo look to him. He's like coughing. He's got like a fire in his chest. You can tell that he is going to be the next victim, host, whatever you want to call it. And so then you have this really touching scene where Lucas tries to protect Aiden, say no, he's fine, like he'll be okay. And Julia has to kind of talk to him and convince him, like, no, look, like, he's already gone. There's nothing we can do. And eventually she tells him to look away, and Aiden and Lucas accepts that. And then Julia takes out Aiden because he's already going to be gone. And they do a good job here. It's not like it's sad, but it's not like gruesome. It's kind of like an old Yeller, like turn away kind of scene. After that, we kind of fast forward, and Paul, Julia, and Lucas are all at the lake. Paul's recovered. He's still in pain, but he's at least standing and recovered and talking. And Lucas is over at the lake, I think, fishing, essentially. I think he's like fishing kind of like a wild child. But I don't remember seeing exactly what he was doing. But eventually when he comes up, there's some blood on his mouth. So I think maybe he's coming feral. I don't know. But in any event, Paul and Julia are talking, and Paul's like, what do we do with him? He's like a tiger cub. You don't know what is going to happen when he grows up. And Julia basically says, like, he'll be fine. Like, trust me, we can take care of him. And so Lucas comes up, and then Julia and Lucas walk away. And Paul follows, but he starts coughing, and you kind of cut back to him, and he's coughing, and eventually he coughs, and a little bit of blood like comes out of his eye on his hand, which is a sign that you're starting to get the infection or the sickness that will lead you to become a Wendigo. And so he looks down, he sees the blood on his hand, and he sees a little blood on his eye, and boom, done. That's the end of the film. But you know that Paul will be the Wendigo, so the creature will keep terrorizing this town. But maybe because Lucas is there in the family, maybe he can help to contain Paul. Essentially the same thing he did with his dad, but now he will have Julia, who also knows about the Wendigo and knows how to kill it. So maybe they can stop the curse. We'll see. But you don't find that out. The movie ends after you find out Paul's infected. And that's it. That's Antlers. And there's no stinger, so you don't have to stay for the credits, although there is some cool looking antler-like scenes during the credits, but there's no stingers. But I really liked it. As you can tell, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was well done. I thought it was a nice horror experience. It was understated. It was suspenseful. And so now, and I was able to get this promotional shirt there, and they also gave me a second one. So this is an Antlers shirt. It's a size medium. If you want to win this, because it's a really cool shirt, it's a good movie, please like and comment the review, and also subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot. I always ask it, but this, for this contest, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment on it. After a couple weeks of the video being up, I'll pick a comment. I'm not sure if it'll be my favorite one or a random one. I'll just pick a comment, and I will reply, and we'll figure out how to get your information, and that will be the winner. That's how you can win this awesome shirt for this awesome movie. It's Antlers. It's coming to theaters on October 29th, 2021, just in time for Halloween, just in time for the spooky season. And it's a suspenseful, good film. It's the perfect film to get you in the mood for Halloween. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, if you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. And also, if you want to win this shirt, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot and make sure all my new content goes straight to you. And also, please check out the rest of my content. I've got other video reviews, interviews, unboxing videos, and a weekly movie recommendation. Thanks so much.